Okay, so I did warn you that anything could happen. I have absolutely no idea what happened then. Just everything went black. Maybe my internet dropped out, I don't know. But what I do need to do is to just double check that I am still back live, because that is not good. Not good at all. Okay. Let me just find myself again. Okay, so there, part one is there. Let me just check the volume on this. Okay, so there we go. So, looks like you can hear me again. Okay. Right, let's just turn this down. Linda, hi. Nice to see you. I'm just getting a notification now, so I'm hoping that means that you're on on part two. I was just saying, I don't know what happened to part one. I was just moving the camera and everything went off. So I'm hoping that everything is going to be okay this time. I will just have to fiddle with the camera a little bit once I take the washi tape off the lens and make sure. Oh, I've forgotten to reverse it. Let me just do that. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Let's try that one. There we go. Hopefully that will magically reverse everything so it's not upside down. Yes. All right, so let me move that a little bit closer. There's still quite a lot of shadowing. I don't think I can fix that, I'm afraid, but hopefully it won't spoil your enjoyment. I'm just going to try and get rid of this cable. There we go. I might be able to. Let me just try an extra light. I think that's improved it a little bit. Although I'm sure there will be a shadow once I start working. Okay. Right, can't see any more comments, so I'm just going to plough on. All right, so the first thing I'm going to make with you then is something to make Cadbury's roses seem a little bit more exciting. Now, if you're in the UK, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Cadbury's roses are a selection of wrapped chocolates, which come in really bright wrappings, and this time of year you can buy them absolutely everywhere in a big tub like this. I haven't got the tub full here. I have got one though. Now, if you're not in the UK, I am guessing that you will have something broadly similar where you live that you can use. So this is wrapped individually, and that measures pretty much 3 inches by 1.5 inches, and it's about 3/4 of an inch thick. So what did I say? 3 by 1.5 by 3/4. Okay, now they're delicious like this. They look great in just a bowl because they're all bright colours. However, you can make them look a little bit nicer by packaging them up in something pretty. Let's move those around. There we go. And using them as table favours or popping them in a bowl, and people can only have the ones with their initials on, or whatever you want to do. Now, you can go super fancy with this project and also with the other ones I'm going to show you. But this time of year, I don't have a lot of time to be super fancy, so I tend to go for something that's really pretty simple. These are going to get ripped apart anyway, so some pretty paper which has got gold foiling on it, so that saves me doing anything fancy with embellishments, and then people's initials. I've just used a circle punch. You could use a circle die to cut that out. And this is, I have to confess, a retired set of alphabet dies. Alphabets are expensive to buy, so every few years I replace mine with sort of a big one and a small one, but this is the one I'm using at the moment. This was, I think, the Playful Alphabet, but there is an alphabet set in the new, the current annual catalogue, which would work equally well. Okay, so I've put letters. What's the word? I put letters on these. You could put anything. You could stamp holly leaves on them. You could tie ribbon round and have a bow on the top instead. There's lots of things you could do. And I've used my pinking shears on the ends here, which just makes them a little bit more fun and interesting. So let's move those out of the way. So what do I need? So I've got a roses chocolate here. Here are the measurements of what I'm going to use. And I'm using the brightly shining paper, which has sold out now. But you could use anything. This is particularly nice because it's really quite a thick paper. It's single-sided, but it's quite a thick weight. So it wraps and holds really, really nicely, but you could use anything on this. And this piece of pattern paper is 3.5 inches by 4 inches. So it's a little bit bigger all round than my chocolate. You want some strong glue, so you could use tear and tape, but actually I think Seal Plus is better. Or you can use multi-purpose glue, which is lovely and strong, but once you start squeezing edges together, I find it can get quite messy, and if you're not careful, it can also gum up your pinking shears. So I'm going to be using Stampin Seal, which, sorry, Seal Plus. Seal on its own I don't think is strong enough for this. I think you'll find things will start to peel apart. So all I'm going to do for this is put glue on 3 sides. So this is a rectangle. I've got 2 long edges, obviously 2 short ones, and the glue is going to go on the back of both long edges and 1 short one. And because I'm going to use pinking shears on the ends, I do want to keep the glue very slightly in from the actual end of the paper. So I'm going to keep it slightly in from those long edges just to help with the pinking. I don't suppose you can see this very easily, but that's the 2 long edges done, and then I only need to do 1 short edge. There we go. I'll hold that up because maybe you can see where the tape is. Yeah, I think you can. If I tilt that and try and catch the light, you can see that there's a little gap between the edge of the tape and the edge of the paper. So this is my short edge that hasn't got any tape on it, and that's the one that I'm going to roll over first, because then that's not going to adhere to my chocolate, and I'm just going to kind of push up the ends of that wrapper as I go, just to try and not get them caught in the tape. And actually I need to turn it over so that I've got a flat back. These chocolates have got like a rounded top and a flat back, and it's just a little bit easier to seal these on here. So I'm just rolling that paper round and matching my edges as best I can, and then sticking it here. Linda, you're back. Hi. I don't know what happened. I think I probably lost internet connection for a minute, but I'm back, and it's lovely to see that you are back as well. So now I'm just going to press the edges together. Let me try and hold that so you can see. And I'm just going to get those as even as I can. Now I often end up doing just a little bit of trimming there. And that's absolutely fine. But you don't want one to be too much further over than the other. There we go. And because I've got that Seal Plus on there, that's going to glue really nicely. And I don't know, can you see that on my hand? I haven't done the world's most perfect join on that, so I'm just going to come in with my scissors and neaten that up. So that's my chocolate pretty much wrapped. I'm going to shape it just a little bit by pushing in at the sides here. I've got a bit of a pleat in there. Let's see if I can smooth that out, and if I can't, I don't mind anyway. There we go. Just to kind of curve that in so we've got a shape that comes in with a bit of a waist. Let me give you a dark one, which has better contrast on that so you can see. So they come in just a little bit there in the middle. I'm going to come in with my pinking shears and just cut a tiny bit off the edge here. And hopefully having that glue in just a little bit from the edge means that I'm not going to get glue all over those blades. And then all I need to do finally is to stick on my little circle, which is here. And I'm just pressing it on the edges a little bit just to help curl it round the shape of that chocolate. There we go. I'm going to hold that and make sure it has really grabbed. Highland, you didn't miss much. Parish notices is all you missed. Yeah, it happened when I switched my camera around. I mean, maybe I inadvertently turned it off, but I think I've got to press 2 or even 3 buttons to turn it off. So if I manage to do that inadvertently, I'm far better at this technology than I ever imagined. So who knows? Who knows? So here we are anyway. That was really quick. That didn't take me very long at all. So if you've got people coming, if you want a table gift for people on Christmas Day, or if you just want these to look a little bit more exciting than something that you picked up from the supermarket. So that's your Roses gift packs. I'll pop that there again with the measurements. So the patterned paper, 3.5 inches by 4 inches, and that's really all there is to it. So they are very, very easy. And I think the more you make, the nicer they look actually, particularly if you've got a pack of paper which is all coordinating. You can pick the different designs, but they will all work together when you see a whole load of these in a container or on a table. Okay, so that's those. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is this one. So this is another little treat pack. Again, I'm sure you are familiar with this kind of thing, but if you're not, you hold the bow at the top and you pull it up and your treat comes out. And you push it down and all the ribbon goes down inside. I think these really are super fun. Kids love them. Men like to try and work out how it works. And everybody likes the chocolate, so that's an absolute winner as far as I'm concerned. So what I've used in here are these little chocolate lollies. I got these in Aldi. I think they were 10 to a pack, could have been 12, lots in a pack anyway. They were very inexpensive, and just packaging them up makes them look a little bit more, frankly, than they really are. So these would work as a stocking filler. They'd be great as just a token gift for somebody, or again, they'd be fun as a table gift. So for this one, I've used the Walk in the Forest paper. I've used some die-cut snowflakes and silver foil. These dies are the chic dies. And then this little For You stamp. I made a note of that because I knew I wouldn't remember what it was from. Lasting Joy is the set that's got the For You in it. And then this is one of the inked and tiled punches, that kind of star shape on the back. And some of the in colour ribbon in Tahitian Tide. So there we go, that's that. Again, I haven't gone overboard on the decoration because these are quick gifts. You can do as much to that as you like. All right, so to make another one, I thought I'd use some different paper. So this time I've got Beary Christmas paper. I've got some ribbon, and that's really all you need, plus whatever decoration you're going to put on the top. I also thought that I would show you how I worked out how big a piece of paper I needed, because if you can't get to Aldi, or you don't have an Aldi, or they have something different and they don't have these, then you can still do something similar. So all I do is I get a piece of scrap paper that's bigger than I think I need, and I just put this in there. Now with this chocolate, I wanted one edge of the chocolate to reach the top of the container, and then I knew I needed an overlap at the bottom to glue it. So I thought, well, I want about 1/2 inch at the bottom, and then I need to be able to wrap this round, have an overlap, and not have it wrapped so tightly that I can't pull this out. So I started off with a bigger piece of paper. I cut it down until I thought I had things about right, and then I measured them, and then I rounded them up to sensible measurements. So that's not very scientific. There are more scientific ways of doing it. You can measure it here and think, well, I need one of those widths for the front, one for the back, then I need double the height, and so on. But to be honest, a piece of scrap paper and just wrap it round and trim a bit, and then round up your measurements will work just as well. So my patterned paper for this particular chocolate lolly is 7 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And my ribbon is 29 inches, 28 inches or 30 inches or whatever is going to be absolutely fine. I may not need as much as that, but I wanted to have enough that I could tie a bow easily without it being too fiddly. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do with my paper, actually, before I make up the pack, is to bring out my Wink of Stella brush. This is a mica brush pen. It's got a liquid filled up with tiny little mica particles in it. So it's very sparkly, and I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle to this. So I'm just kind of scribbling over the snow. Put a little bit on those stars on the tree. You don't have to be very accurate with this. Scribbling works just fine. I'll try and hold it up for you so that you can see it catch the light. But sometimes that just doesn't pick up on the camera. But you could use glitter. I just didn't want to use a lot of embellishments on this and to cover up the pattern on the paper. So I thought Wink of Stella will just give it something without me having to cover up the polar bears. Okay, so I think that is enough really. So let me tilt it and see if you can see. Probably not really. I don't know, maybe you can see a hint of sparkle on that. Yeah, just a little hint, but it's quite hard to show you. Okay, I'm just going to reach my glue, which I've carefully put in the other bucket on the floor, I think. No, I haven't. No, it's here on the table. Good. Okay, so I'm going to use my Stampin Seal Plus again. You want something strong again because you want your bottom seam and your back seam to stay shut even with the movement of the chocolate. So I don't want to seal up the top, obviously, or no, nothing's going to pull out of there, but I want the bottom sealed well and I want the side seam sealed. So I'm just going to put tape on one long side and one short side on the back. And my seam at the bottom is quite a deep one, so I'll probably end up putting a double thickness on there. So let me, actually I'm going to do the one nearest me because then I can see where the edge of the paper is. Let's just advance that. So I don't want to stick this to the chocolate inside. I don't want to seal the top. All right, now this is a directional paper, so I just need to make sure I know which way it's going up when I wrap it. Although it's obviously more important, make sure you know which way it is when you put your glue on. The wrapping actually will sort itself out. So I'm going to pop this in here. This chocolate bar is going to come out again in a minute, but I'm just going to pop this in here and wrap this around. So my sticky side is here and here. I want to make sure that the bottom is not overlapping the glue at the bottom, and I'm going to start with the non-sticky side and I'm going to wrap this loosely. I do not want it really tight, otherwise it's not going to pull out easily. So bringing up the sticky side now, and again I'm going to try and match the top as well as I can to make sure it's all straight. There we go. And then once that's done, the rest should follow. And I'm just going to make sure that's really stuck at the bottom with my bone folder. A little bit of stray glue tape there. There we are. Okay. So this will still come out of there really quite easily. So I've made my tube. It's got a flat bottom, but it's kind of an oval shape. Now I'm going to find the center of the open end and mark it with a pencil so that I can pop a hole in there. Now I use my grid paper because that just makes it super easy, because I've got this centre dark line. But if you haven't got grid paper, then just use a ruler and find the centre. So I've marked that with a dot, and I'm now going to punch a hole in it. I'm using my crocodile. You just need a hole punch, that's all. But this is a particularly easy one to use. And the size of the hole is going to depend on how big your ribbon is. So I'm punching on this one a larger hole than I used in this. This ribbon's very narrow. This one is wider. Okay, and then the secret to how this works is folding the ribbon in half. Make sure there's no twists in it. And then the ribbon loop goes around the bottom of your chocolate treat. And lies along the sides like that. So get it in the middle. And then carefully push this into the tube you made, all the way down. And then you've got a piece of ribbon on the front and you've got another one behind. And you thread that ribbon from the inside to the outside through the holes you made. I need an extra hand today, obviously. There we go. So I'm just straightening that out so there aren't any twists in it. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. I hope you can't. I've got somebody who has been using a chainsaw here all day long. And it's obviously work that's got to be done, but it has been so annoying. Hopefully you can't hear it. Actually, I forgot I had a funny story about the roses, which I was going to tell you. My absolute favourite roses chocolates are the orange ones. And so I opened up the box, and tell me I'm not alone here. I thought, oh, I'll just have one before I make my project. And do you know there weren't any orange ones at all in that box? I took the whole lot out when I couldn't find one, not a single orange one. And then I thought, oh, maybe they've discontinued them. Looked on the bottom of the tub where it tells you what all the different ones are. Nope, they're supposed to be in there. So what I want to know is who's got all my orange ones and what have I got instead? I must admit I didn't weigh the contents to make sure that I had the correct weight made up with the other kinds, but I was very disappointed not to get any orange ones. All right, so to finish this off, I've tied a single knot in those two ribbon ends, not too tightly. And then I'm just going to tie a bow, just an ordinary bow. This ribbon ties quite easily. The ribbon on the other one I showed you it's got metallic in it. It doesn't tie quite as easily. There we go. And if I find my ribbon scissors, at an angle, just so this doesn't fray. There we are. And then, like magic, when I hold the ribbon and pull it, out comes the chocolate. Linda says, oh, your favourite, the green triangles. Yes, if I've got Quality Street, those are my favourites too, and I've just dropped the ribbon off here. And I'm wondering, has it come slid at the bottom? No, it hasn't, it's fine. I love the green triangles too. Yeah, they are really, really good. And this doesn't want to work, so I don't know why. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to redo the ribbon on that. I've got a kink in it, that's probably why. Yeah, I love me a green triangle. I also like, in Quality Street, I like the big purple ones, which fortunately people in my house don't like. So I mostly get the green, the purple ones. There we go. Let's try that again. Okay, so at least I can show you this again and be a little bit less cack-handed, hopefully, than the first time. So the ribbon ends come from the inside, through the hole to the outside. And back again, the one at the back. There we are. And then I'll just tie that in a bow. This will work with anything, you know, any kind of bar of chocolate, so you can get people's favourites. There we go. I think I need to open and shut this one a little bit and just persuade it that it definitely wants to go down. Let me show you this one that I must admit I have opened and shut quite a lot of times. There we go. So that is treat number 3. I'm just going to drink some water and then I will bring in the other one. Let me put the measurements there. You can look at that just in case you didn't get it down the first time. How are we doing for time? We're okay, I think. Right, now this last one, bear with me, because I have planned it out, and then when I went to actually make up a sample, what I had planned didn't work. So I've changed my mind, but what I changed my mind to needed me to actually stick the decoration to the coin, and I've only got one coin, so I haven't actually made it up, but I think it's going to work. So we'll see, shall we? So my first idea was to make a circular box with an opening lid using my Deckled Circles dies, but actually it was becoming much too much of a faff, and given that these are supposed to be quick and easy ideas, I thought no, this has stopped being quick and easy. It's not fun anymore. I'm not going to do this, so I've come up with something else which I think will work, but as I say, let's just see, shall we? Alright, so I've just taken out a whole load of bits and pieces. So this one is a little bit more involved than the previous two because I'm going to do some stamping on here. But this is one of these giant chocolate coins. This is Aldi again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with card. The front's going to be stamped like a Christmas wreath. And my idea for doing this came from a card that we made at class yesterday, which is this one, which is a very simple stamped wreath card. So I'm doing something very similar. You can see that very well. Let me lift that up. The light outside is starting to fade. It's been a beautiful day today after the flooding we've had yesterday. Torrential rain, but it's actually still quite dark. All right. So what I've got here, I have 2 circles. I've cut these using those same Deckled Circle dies, and I've used the 3rd largest die. Okay, if your chocolate coin is a different size, pick a different size, but I've just picked one of these that is very slightly bigger. I don't know what that is around the edge. It's not even as much as 1/8 of an inch bigger all round, but it's just slightly bigger all round. So I've got 2 of those, one for the front, one for the back. And then to cover it up at the sides, I tried various things, but I actually think card strips are going to work better. I thought about ribbon and various other things. So I've cut these to 3/8 of an inch wide, which is pretty much the width of that coin, the thickness of the coin. So that's my measurements then for the Aldi giant coin. 2 circles from card cut with the 3rd largest of the Deckled Circles dies, and some card strips 3/8 of an inch wide. So other bits and pieces I've got here, I wanted to stamp a holly wreath, a bit like that one. So I'm using some stamps from this Christmas Classic set. I'm using the holly leaf and the red berries. And then I'm going to put Deck the Halls in the middle. And then on the back, I'm going to put Merry Christmas. So for the back, I've got a couple more Deckled Circles. I've got a white one, which I'm going to stamp on, and then I've got a real red one just to mat it onto. So that's going to go on the back very simply, and then you could write on that who it was for. All right, I'm going to start off then with one of these. Let me find a foam mat to rest on because I'm using photopolymer stamps and I'll get a much better impression. And I'm using old olive ink, and then I'm using real red. I think I forgot to say I've also got a piece of ribbon here for the bow. I'm going to tie a double bow, so I've got quite a long piece of ribbon. This measures about 25 inches. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm just going to do this by eye. I have had a play around on one of these circles, and if I get this particular holly leaf sort of stamped towards the edge, and then I leave a kind of an overlap like that, I think they will stamp quite nicely round in a circle. And I'm going to pop a bow on one place, so wherever my overlap, when I sort of complete the circle of stamped holly, wherever that comes, if it's a little bit messy, the bow is going to hide it. You know, I could measure this, I could divide my circle into segments and, you know, stamp the holly leaves within a segment and make sure it's absolutely accurate, but I ain't got time for that at Christmas. Okay, so there we go. I'm just about to match up the circle, and there we go. Well, that is not half bad. So that's just stamped by eye. I would recommend, you know, cut an extra one of these. I just cut one in some white card. Practice your stamping, see if it's going to work with whatever stamps you're using, but I'm really happy with that. I think that works just fine. So now I've got my circle, it's much easier for me to visualize where the center of this is to stamp my words. So real red ink, this is my Deck the Halls stamp. Again, I could measure this, but I'm not going to. And then I'm going to add some stamped berries. I'm just going to turn this stamp's got 3 berries on it. I'm just going to turn it as I go so they're not all exactly the same. And I've got some rhinestones that I'm going to colour red to add on. We had red rhinestones in the catalogue and I've been using them all year, but particularly at Christmas, including at a class yesterday, and then I went to order some more. Apparently they're retired. Apparently you can't get them anymore. I was sure you could still, but obviously not. However, luckily you can colour rhinestones red very easily. So that's my berries. So yes, this is stamping. Yes, it's taking a little bit longer than the previous projects, but it's not difficult stamping. So I'm just going to colour these rhinestones. I'll put them on last of all, but I'm just going to colour a load of them. So this is my dark real red Stampin' Blends marker. So this is an alcohol ink marker, which is permanent. If you haven't got one of these and you need to get things made, you can't wait to order one. If you've got a red Sharpie, that will do the job too. But you need a permanent marker, and just be gentle when you cover your stones because you don't want to destroy the tip of your marker. I don't know how many of these I'm going to need, but I can definitely use red rhinestones at this time of year anyway. They make such nice berries. So it's actually, the ink is dry on the rhinestones almost immediately, but I will set those aside for now. Alright, so now I'm going to stamp my little circle for the back panel. And my Merry and my Christmas are actually 2 separate stamps. So I tend to stamp the biggest one first, and I quite like it slightly to one side. And then I've got Merry here. There's also a Happy in the same stamp set. There we go. Merry Christmas. So that's all my stamping done. So I'm going to layer those pieces together now so they're ready to use. Now, if you know who you're going to give this to, you could write on this now before you get ready to stick it to your coin. But once there's a layer of card on this, it's going to be a fairly flat surface to write on, so I don't think I'm going to have too many problems. Right, so now the moment of truth for my design. Will it work? I'm not normally a high-risk crafter, but today I feel it's a little bit higher risk. Okay. Oh, Linda's saying, is that roses for you? L for Linda. Absolutely, Linda. Yeah, it wasn't for my daughter Laurel at all. It was definitely for you. Okay, so I've got my strips of card here, and I'm just going to curl them gently with my bone folder. I don't want them to be sort of spiraled, but I just want them to have a little bit of a curl on them. I'm going to need more than one, but I don't think I'll need 3, but I cut a spare. Okay, now I've got my mini glue dots, and my plan is that I'm just going to glue this to the edge of the wrapper using mini glue dots. So let's see if that will work. Okay, and I wonder, I think it might be easiest actually to stick some of these to the foil and then just attach the card from that. Let me pick one up because I haven't given myself much space, but hopefully the rest I can just press on. So I've put that a generous inch away from the first one, and then I'm just going to come in and press these on till I've gone all the way round. And this foil obviously is very shiny, so glue dots are always good for anything that is difficult to stick things to. Anything that's very shiny, for gluing ribbon on, I always use these. So I'm just working my way around, putting on a glue dot about every inch and a quarter. Obviously I'm not measuring these either because measuring takes time and we're doing quick, and it also does not matter at all. Oh, I've got one there. Let's move along. Actually, they're pretty much invisible on this foil. It's so reflective. I'll be able to see when I get back to the beginning. Let's just move these along. I keep a bit of ribbon on here so the whole thing doesn't unravel. There we go. Almost there, 1 or 2 more and that's it. Because this isn't actually very exciting for you, is it? Watching me attach a whole load of glue dots. There we are. Okay, so that's all of those. So now I'm just going to run round and attach that strip. Now I've obviously got a join which is on the side, so I'm going to pop a glue dot on the end of my new strip just to make sure that that stays exactly where I want it. There we go, and then I'll just continue with this round. And then I need a mini glue dot where it joins the first strip here, and then I'm just going to trim it. There we go. So that's come all the way around. I've got plenty of spare. So that was 2 strips, but I didn't need all of the second one. And then I'm just going to snip that. There we are. So you can see the joins, but they're pretty neat. All right, so that is that. Oh, I'm glad you liked the tip about the ribbon, Linda. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I'll attach the bow with them in a minute as well. You'll see that. So that is now going to go on there. And again, I'm going to use glue dots because they are just so quick and easy. So I don't know how many I'm going to use. I'm just going to put kind of a scattering of them on here. If you've got bigger ones, you could certainly use those here. These mini ones were great for going round the edge of the coin because they were about the same width as the coin is deep. So they're not kind of hanging over the edge of it. So I'm just going round in a circle here. I don't want to go right on the edge of my card because I have got an overlap, so my card is slightly bigger than the coin. So that's one at intervals all the way around the edge, and let's pop a couple in the middle and that should do it, I think. One more there. All right, so I've got this up the right way, not that it matters. So this is going to attach to the coin. In fact, I'm going to turn it round, I think, and do it this way so I can get a nice even border all the way around. So that's attached really nicely. Now I'm going to do the back in exactly the same way. I should probably have had at least one of these already glue dotted up to save you having to watch me attach yet more glue dots. But I didn't think that one through. So again, I'm about, I don't know, an inch or so in from the edge of the card, and I'm just adding glue dots in a circle around the edge at intervals of about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, I suppose, something like that. I just want to make sure that there's contact all the way around. And then I'll add a couple in the centre, and we can put the back on this. Now, if I was doing these for the family, for instance, say I got 4 or 6 or 8 of these, I'd obviously have all my die cut pieces ready. I'd do all my stamping. Then I'd do all the edges, the card edges on the edge of the coin, and then I'd glue these on. So I'd do a kind of a production line thing, which is much the quickest way. So now I'm just gonna, sorry if you're getting my head, as best I can, look straight down on this. There we go. So now we have a festive wreath instead of a chocolate coin. So I'm just going to add this on the back. That looks pretty central. I'm going to tie a bow, and then last of all I'm going to add my rhinestones. So here's my length of ribbon. So for those of you who haven't seen me tie one of these double bows on my fingers before, you need a cut piece of ribbon. You can't use it from the reel, which is what I normally do when I'm tying a bow to minimise waste, but you do need a cut piece of ribbon. And then I'm right-handed, so I'm holding the ribbon against my middle finger of my left hand with my thumb, and I spread my middle finger and index finger apart. This width here is how big my bow will be across, so it's the size of the 2 loops. So I think for this I need a bow about that wide. So I'm going to go, I've got the longest end going backwards over my hand. Now I'm not going to move my fingers. I'm going to go over my index finger up through the middle, over my middle finger, back through the middle, over my index finger, back through the middle, over the bottom finger, and then with this piece I'm going to come back through the middle, across, and push the spare through like that. So I've now got this diagonal piece going across those loops, and with the same end that's attached to that diagonal bit, I'm going to go up from the bottom. It's important you do it from the bottom, and that ties a knot all the way around, and then just pull that tight like that, and then I can slip it off my fingers and I have a double looped bow. So it's really, really easy to tie that. If you want to learn how, I suggest you just grab a piece of scrap ribbon. If you watch this on the recording and go back and just work along with me. Which way have I cut that way? And then untie it and go again. And once you've tied a few, it will start to become very easy. So that can go at the bottom. I need to trim that. That one's much longer. Or at the top. Oh, I'm thinking top. What do you think? Hi Marjorie. Marjorie, you're saying it requires some patience. Is that tying the bow or is that using the glue dots? Yeah, I think at the top. I like that at the top. So back to the glue dots. And I'm going to put probably 3 on this. I'm going to put 1 on the knot and then 1 either side of it. Probably only needs 1 to be perfectly honest, but we don't want it to come off. There's my ribbon, and then let's bring back the rhinestones that I coloured. And I'm probably, I think, just going to dot these around. I don't think I'm going to use 1 on every single berry, but perhaps 1 on each berry cluster. Go. Oh, Marjorie says both. Oh, good, Linda. You'll be happy I put the bow at the top then. Okay. All right, I've just got the low battery on my phone. I've just turned that on. That's now charging. Okay, so here we are. So I'm hoping the light will catch the sparkle on the rhinestones. They do look pretty, I think, with those on. There's the back. And I'm pleased with that. I'm particularly pleased because I hadn't actually made a prototype. It was one of those projects that I just kind of dreamed up, and sometimes they work really well and sometimes they don't, but that one did, which was great. So what else did I make? I made the chocolate in a tube that pulls out, and I've realised the problem with this is I need to make those holes a little bit bigger. And then that ribbon will go through. The ribbon's just not sliding smoothly because the holes are not quite big enough. So I will correct that. But it's not a bad thing to find out, to work out what wasn't working. And then Linda's chocolate, there we go. So, I hope you've enjoyed watching me make those. So we've got the roses chocolates, we've got the Aldi chocolate lolly that pulls out, and we've got the giant chocolate coin. And I hope I've given you enough idea as to how to adapt these if you're not going to end up using exactly what I used for my little treat packs. So let me just cover you over, bring you back up and say goodbye. be a little bit further away. Let's tip that up. Unravel my microphone cable. There we go, that's better. Ooh, move the light down too. All right. Okay, all the technical stuff's done. Thank you for joining me today. If I don't see you before Christmas, I hope your Christmas is wonderful. I hope next year is a really happy new year for you. And I will be back here on Friday the 5th of January for my next Facebook Live. Have a wonderful Christmas, happy Christmas crafting, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye-bye. Oh, do you know, I always do this. I say bye-bye and then I think, where's the button? Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. Bye.